That's my neighbor's dog. There's probably a coyote. That's why it's barking. It has been 10 years. Or 11. That was a coyote. Did you hear that? That was a coyote barking back, howling back at the dog. It's probably in the back of my yard, behind all these trees. But it has been 10 years or more since I read for pleasure. Since I willingly picked a book to read it for me, to immerse myself in a story in a whole new world. It has been so long. It has been so long. It's been since middle school. And honestly, the reason why I stopped reading was because I became male-centered. Not anymore though. Not anymore. But this month, I finally finished a book. I actually finished the whole trilogy, but apparently there's a fourth book. I finally finished it. I finally finished a book. I finally finished a book that is not self-help, non-fiction, psychology, learning. Just a story. And the thing was, I actually started another book in March. I got a blind date with a book in a spicy romantasy category, but I didn't finish it. It was King of Battle and Blood, and I like spicy, but I like love. I like the yearning. This was also the first spicy romantasy book I read, and I think I'm just not a fan of the genre. I'm not. King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. Just not my cup of tea. So I think I got about halfway through the book. Oh, my bookmark is still there. Page 242 out of 389. But yeah, I did not finish the book. Since then, I had been wanting to just read a fiction book, a story, but I didn't know where to start. So I had just been reading a lot of nonfiction, self-help, psychology. My last book that I started, and I haven't picked this up since July, is the 48 Laws of Power. Pretty good book, but I was just I'm tired of this self-help and becoming, and I just, sometimes you just gotta put the self-help books down and just go experience life or immerse yourself in a whole new world and a whole new story. I mean, for me, that's what I love. I love fiction. I love fantasy. My bookmark is still in there. I think I'm on the 6th law. Yeah, I'm on the 6th law. I don't know when I'll pick this up again, read it. But I was just I want to read. I was reading the nonfiction. I had printed out a free packet of my human design thing, and I still haven't read it to this day. And I was just I need to chill. The best teacher in life is experience. You can read all the self-help books, all the psychology, all the mindset, but you won't really learn until you take action and just go live your life. And also, I really enjoy learning through storytelling, whether it's through a book or a movie. I felt really shit that I didn't finish this, and I was wow, I couldn't even finish a book, and I just didn't know where to start. I felt a lot of the stuff on my bookshelf is stuff from middle school. It's a lot of young adult stuff, and I was well, I'm an adult, shouldn't I just read adult books? But I would sleep on my bed. That's my bed, and I would sleep on that end of my bed towards my wall, so I'd be facing this way, and my bookshelf is actually right here behind my window thing. My bookshelf is there. So when I would sleep or lie in bed, I would stare at my bookshelf, and I would stare at the top shelf. My top shelf books are my favorite books, and the one book that kept calling my name, that kept whispering my name, that I just could not take my eyes off every time I would look at it. I really felt like this book was calling me. And it was Legend by Marie Lu. I did not remember anything about this book, about this series, about this trilogy, but I did remember how I felt when I read it as like what, an 11 or 12-year-old. I think I was 11 when I was gifted this series shortly after the third one came out. So I think it was like on my Christmas list. So I got all of these all at once. But this book, The Spine, I just could not take my eyes off it. So I was like, okay, you know what? If I'm gonna read a book, why don't I just grab something from my top shelf, especially the one that is calling my name, and it's free. It's free. So I reread this after, what, 10 years? 11 years? It came back to me as I read the story, as I flipped through the pages. It just came back to me, and it was just such a magical experience, just really immersing myself in a whole new world. I have a very active imagination, so it's pretty easy for me to put myself in a different world with the right descriptions, and I was literally crying a few minutes ago because I actually just finished this one like a few minutes ago. So I was crying. I was like, with my tissues. I have also been unsure how to reconnect with my inner teen or tween, preteen, because, you know, those years, those very like developmental years, your hormones, and, you know, middle school and high school, I didn't really know how to reconnect with those versions of myself because they were some very painful years for me. And oh my god, I want to cry. I want to cry, guys. I want to cry. But reading, when life was so bad, go to a different world. Take yourself to a different world. I just came up with this revelation like right now, so like maybe that's why my emotions are so high. Like I did not plan to talk about this, like my inner teen connecting with my stuff, but maybe that's why it's been such a magical experience, because the excitement and anticipation with reading a book, especially, you know, these were on my top shelf. Like I felt that excitement like I was 11 years old again, and I had no problems, or like no adult problems, and it's just like, oh, life sucks. You know? Oh my god. It's okay, these clusters are gonna come off because I can't go more than a day with clusters because they just itch my eyes. This is my favorite dystopian series. The heartbreak that I still have, because I read this at 11, 12 years old during the early 2010s. I was so confident. I was like, she's gonna get a movie deal. We're gonna get a movie. It's gonna be like The Hunger Games. It's gonna be like Divergent. And I don't know what the deal is from, you know, with screen production, if there is still a deal, if there is still stuff going on, because Mary Lou really, she just deserves her flowers. And, you know, there's a part of me that really wants to see this come to life on screen, but at the same time, it's also like, well, if they don't, that's okay, because then I can, you know, keep it in my head, because you know how like sometimes when you read a book and then they make a movie and then it's like not exactly how you pictured it, or they don't follow it story for story, or they change a few things up and you're like, ah, no. I'm debating on buying the fourth book. It's called Rebel, or is it Rebel? I think I will, just to have all of them. I also have another one of her trilogies on my top shelf, except I only have 2 of the 3 books because I think when the last one came out, I was probably like, you know, I stopped reading and I really just got lost in all like high school drama and boys and stuff. It just feels so good, y'all, to just put the self-help book down and just pick up a story. Like, you learn just as much through a story. I went to a bookstore the other day just to browse and also to see if they had the 4th book. And I went to the adult fantasy section, fantasy section. And I was just so overwhelmed because a lot of the covers are very similar and a lot of them are thick. I mean, you know, fantasy books tend to be thick. But also, Mary Lou is coming out with she's going to debut with her first adult book, because I think all of her books are young adult. So that's gonna come out in like 2 weeks, and maybe I'll get it. I don't know. Books are like $30 each right now, at least for adults. I didn't know the price for books for adults and young adults was, I didn't know there was a difference. I thought it was like, oh, a book is a book, like it's paper, you know, paper is paper, paperback is paperback, hardcover is hardcover. But like, no, adult books tend to be like 10 to 15 more than young adult books. But yeah, I was a bit just overwhelmed. I didn't know what to choose. I wanted to read an adult fantasy book. I want to read more like adult books now, but for the time being, I think I'll still, you know, go through my top shelf and just relive some of those stories, re-immerse myself in some of those worlds. I do have an illustrated book of The Hobbit, so I think I will read this at some point. I've never read The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, but I love the movies so much. I grew up watching Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, and I love, you know, The Hobbit, and I heard Tolkien is a very good writer, a magical writer as well. I think when I tried to read these years and years ago, I was a little bit bored, but this one's got pictures. So maybe I'll have this. I also have a Lego Shire over there on my dresser. But yeah, I just wanted to share this. You know, if you're someone who has been burying yourself in the self-help, self-improvement, nonfiction, psychology, business, take a break. This is your sign. If you're looking for a sign, this is your sign to take a break and just pick up a fiction book. I'm pro fantasy. I love fantasy, but if the fantasy is not too, pick up a fiction book, maybe even like a sci-fi, and just immerse yourself in a different story and see things from someone else's point of view. I don't know what else to say right now. I'm still overwhelmed by like this sudden emotion, but that is what I wanted to share. Yes, what I wanted to share. If you have recommendations for books, especially like adult fiction, adult fantasy, with some love, with so like real love, not lust, love and yearning, let me know your recommendations in the comment section. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.